The desert stretched wide under the early morning sun. Soft light touched the red earth, the rocks, and the tall cactus that stood like silent guards. A small Apache village rested between low hills, protected from harsh winds. Smoke rose gently from cooking fires, and the sound of quiet voices moved through the air. Life here followed the rhythm of the land, calm but strong. The people of the village trusted the land and each other. They worked together, shared food, and listened to the wisdom of their elders. At the center of the village lived Elder Nakoa. His hair was silver, and his face carried the calm strength of many seasons. He spoke little, but when he did, everyone listened. One morning, a stranger appeared at the edge of the village. He walked slowly, careful not to show fear or pride. His clothes were worn, and his boots showed signs of long travel. His name was Daniel. He had no weapon in his hands, only a small bag and tired eyes. The guards noticed him at once. They watched closely as he approached, ready to protect their people if needed. Daniel stopped at a respectful distance. He raised his hands slightly to show he meant no harm. He waited in silence. Elder Nakoa was called. He studied the stranger carefully. Daniel stood still, letting the elder see him fully. There was no challenge in his eyes, only honesty and exhaustion. Nakoa spoke calmly. "Why do you come here?" Daniel answered in a steady voice. He said he had been traveling for months. His wagon had broken far from any town. He had lost his supplies and was nearly out of water when he saw smoke rising from the hills. He asked only for water and a place to rest before continuing his journey. The elder looked into Daniel's eyes for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You may stay, but you will respect our ways." Daniel bowed his head slightly. "I will." The villagers watched with caution as Daniel was given water and simple food. He ate slowly, thankful for every bite. He did not speak much, choosing instead to observe and learn. Days passed, and Daniel remained. He did not demand anything. Instead, he helped where he could. He carried water, gathered wood, and repaired broken tools using skills he had learned while growing up on a farm. The people noticed his effort. He worked hard without being asked. One afternoon, a group of children struggled to lift a fallen pole near a shelter. Daniel stepped forward and helped them, smiling as they laughed. One of the women saw this and nodded quietly. Among those who watched Daniel closely was Ayana, the daughter of Elder Nakoa. She was calm and observant, known for her wisdom beyond her years. She noticed how Daniel listened more than he spoke and how he always showed respect. Ayana believed that a person's actions showed their true heart. And Daniel's actions spoke clearly. One evening, dark clouds gathered faster than expected. The wind picked up, strong and sudden. A storm rolled in, heavier than usual. Rain poured hard, and the river near the village began to rise. The villagers rushed to protect their homes. Elder Nakoa gave instructions, and everyone moved with purpose. Daniel followed, helping without hesitation. Suddenly, a loud cry came from the far side of the village. One of the older shelters near the river had begun to weaken. Water pressed against its supports, and the ground beneath it softened quickly. Inside that shelter were several elders and children who could not move fast. Fear spread across the village as the water rose higher. Daniel did not wait. He ran toward the shelter, pushing through rain and mud. Others followed, but the ground was slippery and dangerous. Reaching the shelter, Daniel saw that one of the support beams was failing. Without stopping to think, he braced it with his shoulder while calling for help. The beam shook, but he held it steady long enough for others to bring stronger supports. The rain soaked him completely. His muscles strained, but he did not step back. The elders and children were guided out safely. Only when everyone was clear did Daniel let the beam fall. He collapsed to the ground, breathing hard. The rain slowed soon after, as if the storm itself had seen enough. The village was safe. That night, fires burned brighter than usual. The people spoke quietly about what had happened. They spoke of Daniel, the stranger who had risked himself without thinking twice. Elder Nakoa sat by the fire, his face serious. He had seen many seasons and many people. What Daniel had done was not small. Ayana sat beside him. He did not hesitate, she said softly. He acted as if this village was his own. Nakoa nodded slowly. Over the next days, the village repaired the damage. Daniel continued to help, though he moved more slowly. His body ached from the storm, but he never complained. The elders met to speak privately. They discussed the stranger and his actions. In their culture, bravery was not shown through words but through deeds. Daniel had shown his heart clearly. Elder Nakoa called Daniel to him one afternoon. Daniel walked over respectfully and waited. "You came here as a traveler," Nakoa said. "But you acted as one of us. Why?" Daniel thought for a moment. "Because when people help me, I help them. That is how I was raised." The elder studied him closely. "You saved lives. You saved our tribe from great loss." Daniel lowered his head. "I only did what was right." That evening, the village gathered again in a wide circle. Fires lit the space, and the night air was calm. Everyone knew something important was about to happen. Elder Nakoa stood at the center. His voice carried clearly. "This man came to us with nothing," he said. "He asked for water and rest. We gave it. In return, he gave us his strength, his care, and his courage." The people listened closely. When danger came, he did not run. He stood with us. Because of him, our people are safe. Daniel stood quietly, unsure why everyone was watching him. Elder Nakoa turned toward him. His eyes were serious, but kind. "You saved my tribe," the elder said. "Now I give you my daughter as a wife." A soft sound moved through the crowd. Daniel's eyes widened in shock. He looked toward Ayana, who met his gaze calmly. Daniel's heart raced. He had not expected this. He had come as a stranger, and now his life stood at the edge of a path he had never imagined. Elder Nakoa raised his hand gently. "This is not a command," he said. "It is an offer made with respect. You may choose freely." Daniel took a deep breath. He looked at Ayana again. Her expression held no fear, only quiet strength. The fire crackled softly as the night waited for his answer. The fire burned low as the night grew quiet. The people of the village waited, their faces calm but curious. Elder Nakoa stood tall, his words still hanging in the air. Daniel felt the weight of every eye on him, yet no one rushed him. The Apache believed that important choices needed time. Daniel looked down at the ground. His mind was full of thoughts. He had come to this land with no plans beyond survival. Now he was being offered a place in a world built on deep roots and strong traditions. He knew this choice was not small. Ayana stood a short distance away. She did not step forward or turn away. Her hands rested calmly at her sides. She did not look at Daniel as a stranger or as a prize. She looked at him as a person. Daniel finally spoke. His voice was steady but quiet. "I am honored by your trust," he said. "I did not come here seeking reward. I only did what I felt was right." Elder Nakoa nodded. "That is why this offer stands." Daniel took a slow breath. He turned toward Ayana. "I will not speak for her," he said. "If she wishes this, then I will consider it with respect." The village murmured softly. This was the answer of a man who understood balance. Ayana stepped forward. Her voice was clear and calm. "I have watched you since the day you arrived," she said. "You worked without pride and helped without being asked. You respected our ways. If you choose to stay, I accept that path." Daniel felt a warmth rise in his chest. He bowed his head. "Then I accept," he said. "If I am welcome." Elder Nakoa lifted his staff slightly. "Then tonight, we honor a new bond," he said. The people smiled. Some nodded in approval. No loud celebration followed. Instead, food was shared and stories were told. This was how important moments were marked, with calm and meaning. Later that night, Daniel sat alone near the edge of the village. The stars were bright, filling the sky like scattered firelight. His life had changed in one evening, yet it felt strangely right. Ayana approached quietly. She sat a short distance away, giving him space. "This path is not easy," she said. "Our ways are strong, and our land demands patience." Daniel nodded. "I do not fear hard work or learning." She studied him carefully. "Many would accept this offer for comfort or status," she said. "But I believe you accepted for the right reason." Daniel met her gaze. "I want to belong somewhere," he said simply. The days that followed were filled with preparation. According to tradition, no union began without understanding. Daniel was guided by the elders and taught the history of the tribe. He learned how the land was respected, how decisions were made, and how every action affected the whole community. He listened closely, asking questions only when needed. The elders appreciated this. Knowledge was shared through patience, not force. Daniel also trained with the hunters. Though he was strong, he lacked experience in desert tracking. He learned to read footprints, follow signs in the wind, and move quietly across the land. He struggled at first, but he did not give up. Ayana watched his progress from a distance. She saw how he accepted correction without anger and how he celebrated others instead of himself. One afternoon, trouble came from beyond the hills. A scout returned with urgent news. A group of outsiders had been seen moving closer to the land. They were not traders. They carried weapons and moved without care. The elders gathered quickly. Elder Nakoa listened to every voice before speaking. "We will not seek conflict," he said. "But we will protect our people." Daniel stood among them, silent but alert. He did not step forward to give advice. He waited. Nakoa turned to him. "You know their ways better than we do," he said. "What do you see?" Daniel thought carefully. "They are moving fast," he said. "They may not know who lives here. But speed without respect often brings danger." The elder nodded. "Then we prepare." The village moved quietly. Families were guided to safer ground. Lookouts were placed on higher rocks. Hunters and guards took positions that allowed them to observe without being seen. Daniel worked alongside them, following instructions closely. He felt no need to lead. He trusted the tribe's wisdom. As the sun dipped low, the outsiders appeared at the edge of the valley. They moved carelessly, speaking loudly, unaware they were being watched. Elder Nakoa raised his hand. No attack followed. Instead, a small group stepped forward, making their presence known without aggression. The outsiders stopped. They were surprised to see the village so prepared. Words were exchanged calmly. The elder spoke with strength, making it clear that this land was protected and that no harm would be allowed. The outsiders hesitated. They saw the unity of the people and the calm confidence in their stance. After a tense moment, they turned away, choosing not to test the resolve before them. The village remained still until they were gone. Relief moved through the people, but there was no celebration. Only quiet understanding. That night, Elder Nakoa spoke to Daniel privately. "You did not push for violence," he said. "That showed wisdom." Daniel nodded. "Strength does not always mean fighting." The elder smiled faintly. "You are learning." As days passed, the bond between Daniel and Ayana grew through shared work and quiet conversation. They spoke of simple things, of seasons, of hopes, and of responsibility. There were no grand promises, only steady trust. Daniel began to feel rooted in the land. He woke with purpose and rested with peace. The village no longer felt like a place he stayed. It felt like home. Yet deep within him, Daniel knew that every path had trials ahead. Acceptance was earned again and again through action. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Ayana stood beside him. "The elders will soon test you," she said. Daniel looked at her. "How?" She smiled gently. "By seeing if you stand firm when choice and sacrifice meet." Daniel did not ask more. He understood that proving one's heart was a lifelong task. As the stars rose once again, the village rested quietly. A new chapter had begun, but the true test of belonging was still to come. The morning came with a cool breeze that moved across the village like a quiet promise. Daniel woke early, as he had learned to do. He stepped outside and watched the sun rise over the hills. The land felt calm, but he sensed that change was near. That day, Elder Nakoa called a council. The elders sat in a wide circle beneath a large shade tree. Hunters, healers, and family leaders gathered as well. Daniel stood with them, respectful and silent. Ayana sat among the women, her posture steady. Nakoa spoke first. "Belonging is not given once," he said. "It is proven through choice." The elders nodded. One of them, an older woman named Sila, spoke next. "The land has been quiet, but the quiet does not last forever," she said. "We must prepare for seasons of need." Nakoa turned his gaze to Daniel. "You have learned our ways," he said. "Now we will see how you act when the path is not clear." Daniel bowed his head slightly. "I am ready to serve." The test was not explained in detail. Instead, Daniel was asked to join a small group traveling toward the eastern hills. Their task was simple in words but heavy in meaning. They were to check water sources after the recent storms and help any nearby families who might need support. The group set out before noon. With Daniel were 2 hunters named Tomas and Kinna, and a quiet young scout named Iri. They moved steadily, following narrow paths shaped by time and weather. As they traveled, Daniel listened more than he spoke. Tomas pointed out tracks and signs in the sand. Kinna explained which plants showed water beneath the ground. Iri watched the sky and the hills, always alert. By late afternoon, they reached a shallow canyon where a small spring had once flowed. The water was low, barely enough for animals. Kinna frowned. "The spring is weakening," he said. "If it dries, families to the south will suffer." Daniel knelt and studied the ground. He remembered old lessons from his childhood about water flow and stone. "If we clear the debris upstream," he said carefully, "the water may return." Tomas nodded. "It is worth trying." They worked together, removing fallen branches and stones that blocked the natural path. It took time and effort, but slowly, the water began to move more freely. The spring grew stronger. As they rested, a distant sound reached their ears. It was faint but urgent. A cry carried by the wind. Iri stiffened. "That came from the lower trail," he said. Without hesitation, the group followed the sound. They found a small family camp near the edge of the canyon. A child had slipped and injured a leg while gathering wood. The parents were worried and unsure how to move him safely. Daniel knelt beside the child and spoke gently. He checked the leg carefully and showed the parents how to support it with cloth and wood. He stayed calm, giving them confidence. "We will help you return safely," he said. The journey back was slow, but the group did not rush. By the time they reached safer ground, the sun was setting. The family thanked them with quiet words and warm eyes. Daniel felt no pride, only relief. When the group returned to the village the next day, Elder Nakoa listened to their report. He nodded at the mention of the restored spring and the helped family. "You chose to act without being told," the elder said to Daniel. "That shows care." But the test was not yet complete. Days later, a different challenge arrived. A trader group passed near the village, offering tools and supplies. Some of the items were useful, but their price was high. The traders spoke quickly, pressing for agreement. The village gathered to decide. The tools could help with farming and repairs, but giving too much in return could harm the community later. The elders asked Daniel to observe and speak if needed. Daniel watched the traders closely. He noticed their impatience and how they avoided clear answers. When asked for his thoughts, Daniel spoke carefully. They seek quick gain, he said. Some of these tools are strong, but others are poorly made. We should trade only for what we truly need. The elders agreed. A fair trade was made, and the traders left without complaint. That evening, Ayana sat with Daniel near the fire. You are learning when to speak and when to wait, she said. Daniel smiled slightly. I am still learning every day. As weeks passed, Daniel felt more connected to the people and the land. He learned stories of the past, of hard winters and brave choices. He also learned that love in this place was not loud. It was shown through trust, shared effort, and respect. One night, a strong wind rose without warning. Dust filled the air, and the sky darkened. The village moved quickly to secure shelters. Daniel worked beside others, tying supports and guiding children to safety. In the chaos, a fire pit tipped over, sending sparks toward a storage shelter. Without hesitation, Daniel ran forward and helped smother the sparks before they spread. When the storm passed, the village stood intact. Elder Nakoa watched from a distance, his expression thoughtful. The next morning, the elders called Daniel once more. This time, the gathering was smaller. You have faced tests of skill, judgment, and heart, Nakoa said. Now comes the hardest test. Daniel listened carefully. There may come a day, the elder continued, when your past calls you away, when comfort or old ties tempt you to leave. On that day, what will you choose? Daniel did not answer quickly. He thought of his life before the village, of roads and uncertainty. Then he thought of the people around him, of shared work and quiet strength. I choose where my actions matter, he said. Where I am needed. Nakoa studied him, then nodded. That is the answer of one who belongs. Ayana stood nearby, her eyes steady and warm. The village prepared for a small ceremony to mark Daniel's place among them. It was not loud or grand. It was honest. As the sun set, Daniel stood beside Ayana, feeling the weight and honor of his path. He knew challenges would continue, but he no longer walked alone. The land accepted him, and the people trusted him. The journey was far from over, but Daniel had taken another step toward becoming part of something greater than himself.